Hi, thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to paint Peacock, and I'm going to use a combination of watercolour tubes and some Brusho crystal paint, and I hope you find it useful. I'm going to talk you through my thought process initially and the planning that went into it, and then I'll just crack on and do it and try and explain while I'm painting. So what you're going to need for this video is some good watercolour paper, 300 grams, and this is not hot pressed and it's not rough. I've got a reference picture and I chose this one from Unsplash. It's a website that has free reference photos on it, so you don't have to worry about copyright of anyone's pictures. So I've done my sketch and a bit of artistic license. I'm going to kind of extend it a little bit, and also the colours aren't going to be exact. Now I did a bit of work on what colours to use and a bit of messing around, and I kind of felt that for the actual Peacock I liked the phthalo blue or the peacock colour, but this particular peacock's quite dark, so I'm going to go in with that darker blue, but I'm also going to use some of the Brusho turquoise, which here gives that nice kind of textured effect that you can see at the very top here of the reference photo, the head of the peacock. So those are the blues. I'll just show you the Brusho. So we've got the Brusho turquoise, and I'm going to use a Daniel Smith blue. I'm going to use several other colours. I haven't 100% made my mind up yet. A lot of the tail is going to be with the emerald green, which you can see here. I put a bit of turquoise in and a bit of orange as well. And the other thing that you're going to need that I use on this is a toothpick, and that's to sort of pull out and get some of the maybe feather effects that we want. For the beak and for some of the other feathering here, I might use a bit of sepia, and for some of the really dark areas some indigo, and the Brusho orange will go down there, and again the Brusho turquoise and emerald green. So if I dive in and use any other colours, I'll explain as I go, and then I'll put a list up at the beginning of the video. I think, oh God, I've got splashes on it already. So don't worry if things like this happen, just call them happy accidents. So in terms of brushes, you probably want quite a big chunky one for doing all your wet tail bit, but a finer, this one's, I think it's about a 4, yeah, size 4 for the finer beak and eye, and good old kitchen roll and some water. So I am going to start with the beak. I'm just going to put a little bit of water on it to start, and I'm going to use just a little bit of colour that I've got at the bottom of the palette. I think it's a yellow ochre, just faintly going in bottom of the beak. And then I'm going to use a bit of the sepia, quite concentrated, for the nostrils. So you've got a nostril on the top. So I'll put it in and then I clean my brush and I just pull off the paint a little bit and just smooth it in. Probably come back to that in a minute. I hope you can see that one. It looks a bit blurry on my screen. So just going in here with a little bit of tinted colour. Okay, so for his head, I'm going to just carefully put water where I want it to go along the top of his head. If you notice on the reference photo, there's quite a lot of sunlight on that, but I get the Brusho. Now I don't, some people put holes in the tops of their, I've lost my brush now. You can tell I'm not professional, can't you? So you need a dry, I use a dry brush. I don't have, like some people, poke holes in the top and then sprinkle. But the stuff's lethal and I think you can get a bit more control. It's not wet enough yet. So let's just wet that again. You can see where it's going because of the couple of blobs that were in there, but I don't want one big solid colour. So I'm just putting a little bit on this dry brush and then tapping it on. And I'm just going to pull it where I want it to go. I want to try and keep some of that different colours. So while I've still got some paint on the brush, I'm going to go in just put the paint around a little bit. Right, so now I'm going to get some of my darker blue. So that's quite concentrated. Now I'm going in with just a loaded brush of water. Pull that paint and that's the brush dries, try and get some of that effect of his feathers coming out there. So I'm just going to go in and now just go over some of this area because this is very dark, this blue around his eye. Can mix your traditional watercolour with your Brusho. Don't be afraid to give that a go. Just building up now some of the shadow and the tones. I'm just putting the darker. You'll notice on your reference photo there's almost like a crease down the middle of the forehead. So now we've got the lighter cap, so there's a couple of white bits on there, which I'm fine with that. Looks a bit like the reflection. And I'm just going to come down here a bit more with some of the darker colour. And the other thing you'll notice about underneath the chin on your reference photo, it goes a bit green, so that's why I'm going to use, I think, a little bit of green. Just going to dab that in and see what effects. So that green is, and then I'm just going to put some water on and watch what it does. It's so amazing, watercolour. Just look at that effect now. I'm happy with that for the minute. Just going to leave that for a sec. These bits up here, and just get some of the blue tube colour and just on quite dry paint. And I might add a little bit of that green in as well, just to give it some tone. And I might just stick a bit of water under there just to make the colours sing a bit. And then let's have a go with, see if we can pull some of that colour down. You may not be able to see that, let's add a little bit more colour. Just add a teeny bit more colour to it, quite wet colour, and then with your toothpick just some of those down. And that one's a bit mad. Okay, so while we're waiting for that to dry, lift the middle colour up. Okay, so let's carry on bringing this colour down. So I'm going to my big brush now, just to pull just some water, and then get some of the paint. And it's quite dark up there. And it's quite dark down here as well, so I'll just let it kind of pool down there. So you can push the paint with your brush. Don't worry about making splashes. That's fine. What I want to do here is, you'll notice on the reference photo the kind of jaggedy bits. I just want to try and pull some of those up. Okay, right, while this is still a bit wet, you can address any shapes that you might want to, you know, if you wanted to kind of make it rounder, you can push the paint around. What we can see is that we need a bit darker here, because that's a shadow, so we'll try going in with some more of this paint to begin with. Concentrated, and then under his chin as well, but I might get some indigo out in a minute. Let's put a bit of green under there as well. So this green is Cascade Green. It's another Daniel Smith. Let's put some green here, because we're going to get ready to blend in. So all of that is going to be Brusho in a minute. So it's going to be Brusho Emerald Green. For the minute, we're just going to keep going with these watercolour paints for now. Just building up. I'm not still using the same colour, but it's about the concentratedness of the paint. Lifting a bit there. bridging that a bit more there, a bit more around here. Okay, now this bit looks quite light, but that's fine because it's got like a really shiny bit where the sun's shining on him. So I'm not going to do his eye yet. I want him that dry and then we'll come back over there. I think we'll put on a bit of Brusho now and start with the emerald green, just going across the back there. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find my Brusho brush there. Those of you that have watched my videos will know I'm not a professional. You might have a cat coming in wanting his dinner. I might have all sorts going on. Right, I found it. I don't have a studio. I just do this in my kitchen, so and I do it for fun. Right, so just water. Initially, you don't need to rush this process. Now that's lovely the way that's doing that, and we're going to let that do its thing. And now I'm going to find my emerald green. I found my favourite Brusho brush now. So it's a dry brush. I've got a little bit less is more with Brusho. Just start with a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull that. So first we're going to try and do you want to try and get the semblance of the scales there just initially, and then I'm fine with this just adding some more water to it, and then I'm going to get my toothpick. I can find where it is. I'm putting it. Oh, I've had one of those days. There we go. Here's my toothpick. And I'm just going to pull it. I want it to go. So these big blobby bits you can get a feathery shape with them. So just lift that bit there up. Okay, so far so good. Now, the bit of the bird that's pretty ugly is this bit here, because it's got see, it's got that brown blobby bits. What I might do is just see what the Brusho light brown looks like if we were to wet the page first. So I'll put it somewhere where you can see it. This is a bit of scrap paper. This is something else you need when you're doing a painting. So just the teeniest bit. I wonder if we just went like that, whether that would give us the right effect, and then we could just sort of make lines with it. Yeah, maybe we're going to go with that rather than a plain sepia. But I'm not going to do a lot of it. I think we'll just do this bit here. I don't really want the green mixing in at the moment, so I'll just keep it, try not to touch and interfere too much. A bit like that. So, Brusho light brown, dab that away. Doesn't matter because we're going to do some splashes and things. So I think we just do that and leave it for a minute and see. We could. Oh, it's all fallen down there, which is unfortunate, but I think we can rescue it. It's fine. So just pushing where the wing would go around the edge there, like that. And just playing with some of these shapes. You can use your tissue to dab off if you think you've got too much. So I did warn you about the cat. Can you hear him now? Got the oven on in the background. Got everything going on in here. Right, I don't like that, so I'm just going to move those bits in with that. That's fine. Okay, so not the prettiest bit of the bird, I did warn you. But I think that's fine. And this bit here, going down here, is orange, so you need to get your orange. So don't worry about things blending in. I don't quite want all that blue, so I did warn you about the cat. Oh, get off. I bet Jean Haynes doesn't have to put up with this. So you've got your muddy mess mixing in, but that is part of the charm of it, so don't shy away from it. Embrace the mistakes. They are beautiful. Now we can just suck up a little bit of that water and add a little bit more orange because it's gone quite dark where it's mixed with the blue, and I want some brighter orange. I might even use the Gambogi, mix a bit of that in, or Gambogi, whatever it's called. Okay. Just for effect, we might just bring that there. Might cover that up in a minute. Just bring that in a bit more. Okay, so while that bit is drying, we're going to go back and do his eye. Now I'm going to use a bit of, oh for goodness sake, get off, cat. I do apologise. Going around. Right, for his eye, I'm going to mix a little bit of indigo and a little bit of Payne's Grey together. Try and keep your clothes away from the Brusho. It is lethal stuff. I'm just going to go quite carefully. Don't forget to leave some white in the eye. You can always go back. I've got a good little gel pen that I use if I get a bit over zealous with my colour. We'll need to bring it back. I've got a very useful little gel pen that I got from Amazon, I think it was. Just putting the definition there of the eye. And I might go and put a little bit more in the beak. Now that that's dry, so he's got quite a nostril on that side, and he's got a bit of a line going up the middle of his nose. I hope you can see that. As is usual, I'm putting the colour in and then lifting it off again. And what I'm going to do now is just with a bit of indigo all around the bits that I want the darkest. It's quite a bit of dark under here. Wow, it looks like it's on fire, that bit there. Get that too wet again. There. going in and putting a few of the details. Try not to get the arm in the brush on. It can stay like crazy. I'll be pleased to know the cat's given up on me. I'm going to get a bit of a smaller brush with a pointier end, just briefly, just to do that eye a bit better. Okay, so now on the picture you've got this bit of blue comes down this way. Now obviously you're not being really realistic, but you try and stick to some of where things go and the directions that things go. So I'm just going to pull some blue down here. So I'm going to use the turquoise again. Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to put quite a harsh line on this. I'll just add a little bit of water so we can get rid of that. To add some more colour to that in a minute. Okay, so my dry brush from the turquoise. Just going to pop it on. So less is more to start with. Think about the direction that things are going. Could even get myself the board. Put some water on and tilt your board. Okay. So don't do this on a decent table though. So now I might add a little bit of ultramarine, which is with the Brusho is a very purpley blue. Just on the top. And then I think we're going to finish with some more emerald green. Right. So add some water. And just let it go. Sorry, you can't see that, can you? Tipping it, letting it go. You really want don't worry where you've got gaps, really. That's fine. You might want to lift and just sweep. And I'm not going to use a toothpick. It's quite a nice effect there. It's quite a lot of concentrated paint now, which is allowing toothpick to pull it down. So I think that bit's done, and then what I would do next is get some clean water. Clean water. My favourite brushes. It's this broken old brush, and I'm going to just get some bluey greeny mix, and I'm going to splatter. And this is just a mix of paint that I've had in my paint tray. It's some of the green, some of the blue, and you're kind of going to go in the direction that is a bit too. If you don't like it, you can pull it up again. Okay. Some clean sheet. I've got some there, and then you always like to go in the direction of your feathers and everything. So I'll try and do this without getting it all over the computer. So like that, a bit of purpley colour there as well. I'll use some of that. Let's turn it round and see how we're looking. think we could probably just light pull a bit of that down. I'm just going to push it up to that edge. And then tip it a bit and watch it run. There we go. And what we could do is you could get some Brusho, sprinkle it gold. Let's see what that does. Oh, that's gorgeous on that emerald green. It's a short on the blue. Keep it on the green. Just dropped it everywhere. Just brightens it up just a little bit. There we go. The paint's now dry, and you can see that some of the gold Brusho on the green is really effective. I'm really pleased that I put that in, and I'll put that in the list of resources that you need. So what I'm going to do now is just, you'll notice that I've blended this bit once the paint is drying, but Brusho still keeps moving and changing even when you've stopped working on the picture. So you'll see that down here I've got some bleaching. Don't know why that's done that, doesn't really matter, it's done it. Again here, I quite like that bit, but this bit down here is a bit of a mess. I'd like a little bit more light and dark. So what I'm going to do, now it's dry, is just go in and touch up where, just to make a little bit more shading. So I'm not using Brusho for this, I'm just using my watercolour, and I'm just blending it with a bit of water. You probably can't see that, so the reflection at the moment. I'll lift it up in a minute. So this is quite concentrated blue. Let's see if I can get a better angle on that. Can you see that there? You'll see it when it's dry anyway. So that's a bit darker. I don't mind that bit here. Under the chin, I could do with some more colour. It's all a bit bleached, so I'm just going to go in a bit of that slow blue. I like the faded bit on its chest because that looks like where the sun's hitting it. And again, same with the top of the head, but I think I like a little bit more green just here. around the edge. So put it on and then blend it with a clean brush like that. Those little feathers at the top could probably do with a little bit of touching up, so just here and there. And drying the brush, just kind of crisscrossing. Dry brush. I'm going to get a smaller brush and just add in some more details on the beak. Now I've got some moon glow here which I think I'm going to use. So again, I'll put that in the list. Very good for shadows and shading moon glows. Blend that again. Keep an eye on it when you've added, so you might not want the watermarks when they're naturally forming, so you might decide you want to move things a little bit. So a little bit more work around the eye, I think. Using a bit of indigo here. It's probably difficult for you to see whether that makes any difference, but it does to me. Now I'll show you, I'll just grab my gel pen and show you, because I mentioned it yesterday. Talk about being prepared, no I'm not. So this is just a jelly roll-on pan. I'm just testing it out over on put a little bit around the eye. Okay, so I still don't think that's dark enough. It's fading again, so let's just try a dark, maybe some Prussian blue. It's a bit green, is that orange? Okay. So a little bit more just here. That's the bright blue. cleaning my brush and just lifting a little bit there. So that's looking a little bit brighter, and we're nearly done. I just think down the bottom we could probably do with a little bit more to link the green and the gold. So I'm just going to do some greeny splashes. Very wet, greeny. Just a little bit coming up there. Maybe darken the blue. Just there. The big ones. I'm going to get my gold Brusho again, and I'm just going to put a bit of, just going to wet a little bit here and there. And drop some of the gold in. That's probably a bit much there. What's that? So this is just a different kind of Brusho. It's called Brusho Spring Colour. You can get some shiny pearl, iridescent, glittery stuff. It looks rather good. But there you go. I think I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm a bit happier now with the blue at the bottom and some of the details. And just one last thing that I need to do, I noticed up there, some reference photo, you can just see his other eyes. I'm just going to do a bit of the shading there. There we go. I hope you found that useful.